Picture this. It's the Cold War, a time of spies, secrets, and a constant, simmering tension between two superpowers. High above the frozen expanse of Siberia, a lone American aircraft, sleek and black as night, streaks across the sky at speeds and altitudes previously thought impossible. This is the SR-71 Blackbird, a legend of aviation, and its very presence is an act of defiance, a direct challenge to the mighty Soviet air defense network. The mission was codenamed Senior Crown, a series of audacious reconnaissance flights deep into Soviet territory. And on this particular day, the Soviets were ready. Or so they thought. The moment the SR-71 crossed into their airspace, a storm of activity erupted on the ground. Air defense commanders scrambled, radar screens lit up, and a wave of their best interceptors, the formidable MiG-25 Foxbats, were launched with a single, urgent objective: take down the intruder. But the SR-71 wasn't just any plane. It was a technological marvel, designed by the legendary Kelly Johnson and his Skunk Works team. It flew at over Mach 3, that's more than 3 times the speed of sound, at an altitude of over 85,000 feet. For the Soviet pilots in their MiG-25SH, it was like trying to catch a ghost. They would push their engines to the limit, climbing desperately, only to see the Blackbird's contrail as a thin white line, impossibly high and impossibly fast, mocking them from the edge of space. Imagine the scene in the Soviet command centers. Alarms are blaring, generals are shouting orders. They're tracking this single American plane as it carves a path through their most heavily defended territory. They throw everything they have at it, not just MiG-25s, but newer, more advanced fighters like the MiG-31 Foxhound and a barrage of surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs. It was a full-scale coordinated defense effort involving hundreds of personnel and dozens of aircraft, all focused on this one target. The tension was immense. Each failed intercept attempt was a blow to Soviet pride and a stark demonstration of a terrifying technological gap. Their entire air defense system, a point of national pride and a cornerstone of their military strategy, was being rendered useless. The pilot of the SR-71, meanwhile, was executing a carefully planned route, his instruments gathering priceless intelligence on Soviet radar installations, military bases, and communication networks. The Blackbird wasn't just flying, it was mapping out the very nervous system of the Soviet war machine. One of the most famous of these encounters involved SR-71 pilot Major Brian Sh. On a mission over the Barents Sea, his aircraft was targeted by multiple SAMs and interceptors. He described seeing the missile launches as fiery telephone poles climbing towards him. His response? He simply pushed the throttle forward, accelerating and climbing away, leaving the missiles and the chasing MiGs far behind, unable to keep up. This wasn't just a mission, it was a masterclass in aerial dominance. The panic in the Soviet ranks wasn't just about failing to shoot down one plane. It was about the terrifying implications. If one SR-71 could penetrate their defenses with such ease, what else could get through? It exposed a critical vulnerability at the heart of the Soviet Union. The intelligence gathered by the Blackbird allowed the US to understand Soviet capabilities in unprecedented detail. They knew where the radars were, how they operated, and how to jam them. In a potential conflict, this information would be absolutely decisive. The Soviet response to this was a desperate, multi-billion ruble effort to upgrade their air defenses. They poured resources into developing better interceptors, more advanced radars, and faster, higher-flying missiles. The MiG-31, for instance, was developed specifically with the SR-71 in mind. It was an incredible aircraft, but even it struggled to pose a credible threat to the Blackbird's combination of speed and altitude. The SR-71 was always one step ahead. The psychological impact was just as significant. For the Soviet pilots and commanders, the Blackbird was a phantom, an untouchable symbol of American technological superiority. It bred a sense of frustration, even helplessness. They knew they were being watched. Their most sensitive military secrets laid bare, and there was little they could do to stop it. Every successful SR-71 mission was a silent, powerful message sent across the Iron Curtain. As the SR-71 completed its run over Siberia and turned back towards its base, it left behind a state of chaos and confusion. Radars that had been tracking it suddenly went blank. The interceptors, low on fuel and with nothing to show for their efforts, were forced to return to base. The silence that followed was almost as unnerving as the chase itself. The intruder was gone, having slipped through their fingers like smoke. In the aftermath, Soviet military analysts would pore over the flight data, trying to understand how it happened. How could a single, unarmed reconnaissance plane humiliate the entire air defense apparatus of a superpower? The answer was simple. The SR-71 Blackbird was a machine ahead of its time. It operated in a realm of its own, a near-space environment where conventional fighters couldn't touch it. These missions over Siberia weren't just about gathering data. They were high-stakes, chess played at 85,000 feet and Mach 3. The SR-71's escape was not just a pilot flying away. It was a strategic victory that sent shockwaves through the Kremlin. It forced the Soviets to spend enormous sums of money trying to plug a gap in their defenses. Money that could have been spent elsewhere. In the grand, attritional game of the Cold War, the SR-71 was one of America's most effective players. So the next time you see a picture of that iconic, futuristic-looking aircraft, remember the story behind it. Remember the panic it caused in Soviet command bunkers, the desperate scrambles of MiG fighters, and the silent, invisible war it waged and won in the stratosphere. The SR-71 was more than just a plane. It was a legend forged in the crucible of the Cold War, a symbol of ingenuity and audacity that remains unmatched to this day. Not a single SR-71 was ever shot down by enemy fire, a testament to its incredible design and the skill of the pilots who flew it. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this look into aviation history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories like this. See you next time.